This week, we went to go see Mortal Kombat 2 in IMAX. That's right, in IMAX, but is it any good? We'll talk. Hi, how you doing today? It's Jess here. Hope you're having a good day. And today, yes, we just saw Mortal Kombat 2 in IMAX, but is it worth it in that format? Honestly, absolutely yes. Why? The movie is literally filmed for IMAX. So what does that mean for you as a viewer? You get to have the experience of the extended aspect ratio. You see up to 26% more only in IMAX. The proprietary sound provides powerful in-depth audio experience. However, not the whole movie is available in that extended Y-axis format. When you go see an IMAX movie, right, it's the bigger screen, but do they actually utilize it? So here's the deal. I think based on IMAX's official website, of course, sources below to back up my claims, this is not just me shouting from the rooftops. I believe it's 45 minutes. So when you see an IMAX movie, right, you're still gonna feel the black and top and the bottom bars, right? Because some movies that are made for IMAX that take up the entirety of the runtime of IMAX fills up the entire screen. So when I saw this in IMAX Mortal Kombat 2, I still had blackened bars on the top and the bottom for most of the scenes, right? And I don't know if it was my specific theater that I went to. I went at 4:45 right here in the suburbs of Chicago. I went to my favorite theater in the IMAX setting. I felt the scenes were darker. Now, you're probably thinking, yeah, it's a Mortal Kombat movie. It should be darker. But I just felt it was too dark, you know? Because with IMAX, you're thinking, oh, it's going to be brighter. It's going to be sharper. It's going to be louder. It's going to be better, right? Just letting you know, it could have been my specific theater. Of course, sources below to back up my claims. Let's go to IMAX's official website and read the snippet on the Mortal Kombat 2 showtimes that you would get. It says, enter the arena with Mortal Kombat 2. Here's one you'll want to brawl to see on the screen where it was made for. Because this battle royale was filmed for IMAX, transport yourself onto the fighting floor and experience 45 minutes of IMAX's exclusive extended aspect ratio. Director of the first film, Simon McQuaid, I'm sorry, I'm probably not saying his name right, returns for the sequel, leveraging IMAX's cutting-edge technology to capture edge-to-edge, seat hand-to-head combat like you've never seen before. The only cheat code you'll need is your IMAX ticket. Of course, sources below to back up my claims to everything that I just said. This is not just me shouting from the rooftops. Now let's get on with the review. Mortal Kombat 2 is an action-adventure video game adaptation and the highly anticipated sequel to the 2021 Mortal Kombat 1 that came out in 2021, 5 years ago. Shocker, right? Why did it take so long? Why are we waiting so long? Unlike the first installment, we actually get to see the Mortal Kombat tournament in its full realization. Raiden, or Lord Raiden, and his allies gather more friends to try to defeat Outworld. Otherwise, Earthrealm will be consumed, and we definitely don't want that. So begs the question, will Earthrealm win the last chance of this tournament? What about the new characters like Johnny Cage, Shao Kahn, and Jade? And did they keep Cole Young as a central figure prominent like they did in the first one? Find out as we talk about it. The vibe and my fighting game history. A little bit of backstory. I actually did a full review on IMAX 5 years ago for the first Mortal Kombat movie, and funny enough, I actually went to the same theater. I will link that old review down in the description, just heads up. I was a different person back then. This was 5 years ago. I was so energetic because I was so jacked up on caffeine because I thought I needed to do these videos too eccentric or something like that. Not that I am not now, but I use caffeine in a different way just to go to the gym, right? But I thought I had to be a certain way. But I'm older now, so it feels like you're at that sage like figure, you know, like Dark Magician turning into the Dark Sage. Mortal Kombat Trilogy was the first PS game, fighting game I've ever played. I remember we got it for Christmas, right, when I was younger, right? And I remember, wow, the fighting was so awesome. But I'm not gonna lie to you, I was still kind of scared about it. I don't know why. I feel like the intimidation of the Netherrealm levels, because and even that whole scariness didn't really go away until I was an adult, right? I bought Armageddon on PS2. I played all of the games, the PSP Unchained, Mortal Kombat vs. DC, Mortal Kombat 9, Mortal Kombat 10 XL, Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, and Mortal Kombat 1. I'm halfway through it. I think I'm scared because of the Netherrealm levels, is because, truth be told, the thing that I scare most, the thing that fears me the worst, is hell and devilish things, you know, demonic stuff. So seeing that represented in the video game when you're trying to have fun and decompress is not something that I want to feel like. But as I've gotten older, I've learned to tame that fear, right? I still play the Mortal Kombat games now, although let's be honest, I think back then when you played Trilogy, they felt like they looked real life, you know, like the characters and stuff, but now they look CGI, they look cartoony and stuff. So I've conquered the fears of Mortal Kombat games, although to be very honest with you, I like Mortal Kombat. I love Mortal Kombat. I know the lore because I played all the storylines, but my heart belongs to Tekken. I've logged into so many hours in Tekken Tekken 8, I am a Tekken God Supreme, sometimes going back to Tekken God. So Tekken is my lifeblood, you know, that is my past, present, and future. I do like playing Mortal Kombat, but to be honest with you, just like many of you, I don't play Mortal Kombat competitively. I just play for the storyline and the games. And I did see all the movies and stuff, but like Tekken is my main grind, like live service, like online game that I play. So I'm sorry, Mortal Kombat, I love you, but Tekken has just conquered my heart in the way that you can't replicate. I'm sorry, because if you guys don't know, Mortal Kombat is 2D and Tekken 8 is 3D. So you have the different stages, the multiple stuff and stuff, but still, like, Mortal Kombat is just 2D. It's just left and right. I can't do that. You know, I'm sorry. The release date and the haters. Let's address the mean critics for a second. You probably have heard people saying online that this is the movie that we shouldn't got in the first place. And yes, I understand that. And when I looked back into my old 2020 video, right, I told that movie was a stepping stone to the 1.0 version. So basically, the 2021 version was 0.5 version to 1.0, right? Because the first movie teased the tournament. They talk about the tournament. But you know what? They never actually show the tournament. The movie takes place shortly after the first one concludes, even though for us in the real world, it was 5 years. And the reason why it took so long, let me give you a bit of a breather, right? So due to COVID strikes and also so COVID happened and then the SAG strikes based on Hollywood's, you know, the creators thing. So that's why it took so long. But guess what? The original release date was October 2025, so a few months ago. And yes, I remember that because I was so bummed out that the release date got shifted forward a little bit that weekend. You know what came out that weekend? Regretting You, the romance movie with Colleen Hoover that I actually read a book for, and Chainsaw Man, the amazing anime movie from the beloved franchise on Crunchyroll, Chainsaw Man. So it's like that weekend, yeah, I get it. Mortal Kombat is Halloween adjacent because of the costumes, the cosplay, and the makeup, right? But I am so happy that they moved it to now because that's just a reviewing nightmare, right? I chose Regretting You. I like Regretting You. And I read that book and just no, that was way too much for one weekend. So I'm glad they did it now for the beginning of summer blockbuster movie season. The characters and the villains. We are treated to the amazing Sky Temple, which looks like it was ripped off straight from the video games. Last time in the first movie, it was a dungeon. It was underneath some cabin and stuff, which is weird because if you played the video games, it's a Sky Temple. It's on top of the rooftops in the sky, like in the Sky Temple, not in a dungeon, like tucked away being sneaky and stuff. We see Liu Kang, Jax, and Sonya Blade all training together for the next Mortal Kombat tournament and also developing their arcana. Raiden looks as amazing as ever, although let's be very clear, he gets the bench warmer treatment. So no spoilers, but even though his powers are amazing and he looks good, he doesn't have much as screen time as he does in the first installment, making the way for the new ones that add into the roster of the franchise, right? The heroes basically have to work as a unit, as a team, to get the amulet back from the enemies from Outworld, right? If you know anything about the amulet lore from Deadly Alliance, which came out in November of 2002, I believe, for PS2, right? Such a long time ago. You know that Quan Chi, by himself, escapes the Netherrealm with the amulet and forms a deadly alliance with Shang Tsung, the guy that does this. And they're both in this movie as well, although they don't form the Deadly Alliance in this film, just letting you know that's just some lore from the video games. I heard or saw a headline on Instagram, you know, sometimes when I'm scrolling, I see Kitana was the heart and soul of the movie. And honestly, that is entirely true. I do believe that the movie opens up with her, it carries through her, and it's lore accurate. So in the movie, and this is the beginning, right, to give you the setup, Edenia, where she comes from, Shao Kahn invades it, and he takes over, like, the throne and stuff, right? Because Shao Kahn and Jared face off in the games, and I guess in the games, Shao Kahn kills Jared, so Kitana is like the daughter to Shao Kahn, right? And the movie actually explains that, right? He takes the throne, Shao Kahn, unfortunately, Sindel is there as well. And speaking of the villains, Shao Kahn is menacing as always. They did not cheapen his look. They felt like they wanted to get him right because he was like the big poster, like bad person in this movie. I'm like, dude, they took so much time with his movement, his characters, his mannerisms. I'm like, dude, this is exactly ripped from the game. The new characters are awesome as well. Jade is also in the mix alongside Noob Saibot, which is lore accurate because you know that Scorpion in the video games, when he dies, or Bihan, he turns into Noob Saibot. So it's not the same Sub-Zero that we got in like the new installment of the franchise. But Quan Chi, I have to be honest with you, and this is gonna sound so like disrespectful. Quan Chi gets the Spirit Halloween treatment. He looks so cheap. I am so sorry with you. I don't know what they did to him. Quan Chi in the games, right? He's strong, he's menacing. They call him the necromancer or the sorcerer, but that's mostly Shang Tsung. He just looks weak, frail in this movie. Like, don't get me wrong, the makeup they used on him, the way he acts, he looks like a weak servant to Shang Tsung, and it's just, I mean, weak servant to Shao Kahn. But in the movie, he doesn't feel right. Right? It feels like they're like, oh, we need to take the less amount of time possible with him, which is weird because if you played the games, you know that Quan Chi is strong. He's powerful. He escaped the Netherrealm all on his own. And in this movie, he feels like he's just like a puppy dog, which is not good. I mean, I wouldn't say he is kind of like the weakest link, but I'm just letting you know the movie portrays him not in the best possible light, to be very honest with you. The emotional impact of Johnny Cage. The real standout here is Karl Urban as Johnny Cage. Now, I've only known him from The Boys, which he's amazing in that show. They teased him at the end of the first movie, and honestly, this is perfect casting. He plays the part flawlessly, although I do wish he was a little bit more cockier and confident. I'm not saying like he doesn't fight and he doesn't want to fight, but in the games, he's all about Hollywood. He's all about making movies, that he's the best. But in this movie, it's just like, I feel like Johnny Cage in the game would love to do this. But actually, no, now that I think about it, Mortal Kombat 9, he says peace out. They actually forced him to be in the tournament. He wants to be with Sonya Blade. But still, like, instead, he feels like a man who's run out of time. He's past his prime, right? You can feel the heavy weight of longingness of his old life from his big blockbuster movies, right? He feels like he has nothing left to fight for because his best days are behind him. And a guy who is 31 years old and still grinding towards his goals and dreams, and I thought I would like be out like living my life right now, but I'm still like grinding towards the ladder. I know exactly how he feels, trust me. He is charming, just toned down a bit, but he still works for the emotional anchor of the other side opposite Kitana in the story. So he's still a great addition, although his powers, they come very late. And if you play the video games, it's like, why did they do that to him? Like, why does his powers comes late, you know? The fights and the IMAX experience. Let's talk about the fights because they are spectacular. Especially in IMAX, we have multiple characters fighting at different times throughout the movie. We get to see the different stages from the games represented fully on screen, right? This is a perfect example of what the mean critics are saying. This is what we should have gotten 5 years ago, right? But I'm so glad we have it here. If you played the video games like me, you'll see a lot of Easter eggs, callouts, and nods, and cameos that I don't want to spoiler for you. One fight that I have to talk about is the Liu Kang versus Revenant Kung Lao. I don't know what the level is called exactly, and I don't want to call it the Soul Chamber, but it's basically a bridge on a rooftop bar, and there was like a blue neon circle thing in the background. Oh my god, it was amazing. Even though it's probably like CGI and practical effects, it was awesome. It was like light versus darkness, and the color in the background changes throughout the match, which adds a little bit of flair to the thematics of the movie, right? But if you know anything about Mortal Kombat, this was more than just a fight. This was like personal to both of them because in the games, yes, unfortunately, Kung Lao and Liu Kang go Revenant, right? Because in Mortal Kombat 9 for 360, you know how Raiden has visions of the future and he needs to win and stuff, right? So in the games, they actually go Revenant, but in the movie, only Kung Lao goes Revenant, and this fight was such an emotional take because as we learned from the movie that Raiden, just like the games, Raiden says in the games, they were like sons to me, you know, and they reference to each other as brothers. They grew up with him. They played together. They trained together. You don't think that has an emotional impact? The fight played out well choreographic, right? The special effects and even their special moves are incorporated from the video games onto the big screen, as well presented in the cinematography, right? And the raw emotions. You see the fire, you see the flames, LOL, fire and flames. You hear the music swelling as Kung Lao and Liu Kang are giving it their all, right? Hitting the characters. I felt like both of them had to attack and defend, and it was awesome to see their special moves incorporated in that way, but it was just mesmerizing to see it in IMAX because so many different like fight moves, even the hat was spinning in the background, in the foreground, how Liu Kang is trying to like defend it with like his light fire thing and stuff, right? But Liu Kang wasn't going all out till the end because that was his brother. He wanted to save him, you know? So that was so emotional impact, and I loved that because I was like at the edge of my seat, jaw drop at the action that was unfolding, right? Some of the other fights I'll briefly mention, we got Sonya Blade and Sindel. I thought it was cool. It's like girl power at its finest. They both use their special abilities, including Sindel's iconic scream, and she actually used that as a defensive aspect when they were fighting. It was like that pit level, even though it wasn't high above, the way the movie did it, intercepting the pits was awesome. I'm like, dude, this just adds some more of a comedic or cinematic flair. I wouldn't say comedic, I'm sorry, that was me misspoking. Just a cinematic flair. Without spoilers, you see other combatants fighting each other all across the stages for Mortal Kombat, but there are multiple instances where, for example, Johnny Cage, they're trying to recruit Baraka in the movie. But guess what? In the Mortal Kombat 1, the newest game, they actually do. I think it's Johnny Cage, Kenshi, and some other guy. They recruit Baraka, and dude, Johnny Cage, this is where he actually starts trash talking. But I don't know if you didn't catch this, but in IMAX the scene is perfectly realized because it zooms out, right? When you're playing the characters on the video game, right, you see both characters do their introductions, right? The health bars appear on top. But when you're in IMAX, it zooms back. Both of the characters do a pose, and this was like a little Easter egg. And dude, when I was watching it in IMAX, I looked up to see, because I saw it twice in IMAX. I felt like I saw the health bars. I'm like, dude, that was a perfect realization. Even though the movie is 3D, you can move around the playing field. In the games, it's only 2D, and you see the health bars, and both characters are standing on the opposite ends. That was chef's kiss. I don't know if you caught that, but I did, because I was looking for. I'm like, dude, this looks exactly like the games, just in the theater. Final grade. It's been a while since I've been this excited and this giddy and happy in the theater. I played most of the video games, right, of Mortal Kombat: Trilogy, Deadly Alliance, Deception, Unchained on the PSP, Armageddon, MK9, DC versus DC, MK11, and Ultimate, and also 1. I have been with these characters for years. And so now that we're getting a proper Mortal Kombat movie that's actually pretty good, I'm very excited. Without spoilers, unfortunately, some of our characters die to horrific deaths, which is weird because I don't want them to die like that. I mean, I get it in the video games, they can come back, but the movie perfectly sets up for a sequel. I cannot wait to watch this movie next time in theaters and IMAX. As of right now, this has slotted easily in the top 10 best of the years of 2026. At the end of the day, I'm going to give this an A-. I absolutely love this movie, especially experiencing an IMAX. I really felt I was transported into the world of Mortal Kombat. If you made it this far, I appreciate so much. Consider hitting that like button and turning on notifications so you never miss a video. And with that, take care. Bye.